Good afternoon. Welcome to Sports Nothing But Sports with Kent Sterling for Tuesday, April 21st, 2020. Brought to you by the great people at Today's Dentistry. They're going to be open for business soon. Right now, just doing emergency work. So if you've got a dental emergency, call 317-849-2933. If you need normal dentistry, like a cleaning or examination, call, and they're going to get you on the schedule. Let's talk about sports. Purdue transfer. He's grad eligible. Matt Haarms, he's down to 3 schools. He's either going to Kentucky, Texas Tech, or BYU, according to Jeff Borzello at ESPN. I have no interest in where he goes. I think Purdue's going to be better off without him. I think Kentucky would be worse off for him. I think he'd be a good fit at BYU. And at Texas Tech, I don't know what in the hell he'd really do. Matt Haarms is an enigma to me. He's got the haircut. He's 7'3". He's a rim protector. He has difficulty moving. He has difficulty scoring. That is a problem. It was a problem for Purdue. It's going to be a problem wherever he goes. We're not being snarky about Matt Haarms because he's leaving Purdue. We're being a little bit negative about his influence on the Boilermakers and on whatever school that he attends because really he's not altogether that good a basketball player. So if he goes to Kentucky, good luck getting off the bench. If he goes to Texas Tech, he's going to have some trouble staying on the floor. If he goes to BYU, I think he's going to have a good experience playing a lot of basketball. So there you go. There's a question being asked today and a point being made by Michael Lombardi, and that's that Malik Hooker is on the trading block for the Indianapolis Colts. The question is, will the Colts trade Malik Hooker? Do they have a better chance to gain value from him as a player on their roster, or is he more valuable as a trade chip for somebody to go out and get a third or a fourth round draft pick if they could get that for him? He was the 15th overall pick in 2017. He's just 24. He just turned 24 years old, entering his 4th season in the NFL. He's had trouble staying healthy. He hasn't played a full season yet. He hasn't played all 16 games. He's got 7 interceptions in his career. He has missed 14 games. He was the 54th ranked safety by Pro Football Focus, and he was the 74th ranked safety in coverage. So there you go. That's kind of a snapshot, not a complete snapshot, but a snapshot of Malik Hooker from probably 30,000 feet. Can the Colts get more for him in a draft pick that comes to the team than he would represent as a guy playing for the team? Is he a guy that the Colts foresee coming back once he's done with his initial contract, or is he going to be a goner? We're going to find out. Malik Hooker has been a disappointment as a 15th overall pick because the guy who was selected immediately after him is cornerback Marlon Humphrey of the Baltimore Ravens, taken 16th, and he's been pretty good as a cornerback. He was in the Pro Bowl and named to an All-Pro team this past season. So this is how you start. When Chris Ballard came here, right, and in that first draft, which was 2017, he was playing with the house's money, right? Nobody knew what these guys are going to be, but after 3 seasons, you got a pretty good idea. And the idea of Malik Hooker is not a positive one. The evaluation of that guy is not positive. The evaluation of Quincy Wilson is not positive. There is starting to develop kind of a momentum to look at the drafts of Chris Ballard and say, you know what? I don't know about any of this. Now, the draft in 2018, where they got both Quentin Nelson and Darius Leonard, that winds up being a pretty damn good draft. This previous draft with Bobby Okereke and guys like that, also a pretty good draft. Rocky Sin was not bad and projects as a starting cornerback. So you look at the last 2, it's not quite what you saw in 2017. 2017, you didn't get a hell of a lot that you point to and you say, yay, we got that. He's got another draft coming up beginning on Thursday night. The Colts right now, they don't have a first-round pick. A lot of people think that the Colts are going to trade into the first round. And here is from Athlon Sports, a guy named Brian Fisher believes that the Colts are going to trade the 34th pick, the 160th pick in 2020, and a future third-round pick in order to move up from 34 to 27. I'm telling you right now, that is not the way Chris Ballard's brain works. He looks at a 4th-round pick, and he sees the equity that it represents. He sees a human being who he believes they can go out and get to play football at a starter level. All right, that's what they look at. They look at third round, fourth round guys as incoming starters. That's why they don't mind trading out of the first round. They traded the 13th overall pick for DeForest Buckner. That 13th overall pick might now be traded by the San Francisco 49ers. But anyway, what they see the equity in lots and lots of picks. And they know this. These are math guys. They get math. And that's that, in the first round, you got about a 50% chance of hitting. In the second round, it's about 30%. Third round, you got about a 15% chance of hitting. They believe in the third round, with the way they evaluate players, that process gives them an advantage, gives them a percentage advantage over other teams in what they can do with a third-round pick. But here is what also is true about a third-round pick. Third-round pick isn't a first-round pick. Right, just from a talent perspective, you don't have the same level with a third rounder as you do with a first rounder. And you need first round guys, and you've got to hit on first round guys or you've got a problem. Right? You're chasing mistakes, and if you chase mistakes, you're not building, you're building in reverse. You're trying to gauze wounds rather than build the body. You see what I mean? So what Chris Ballard's got to do is he's got to start building the top end of this roster, and you don't do that with second and third round guys. You do it with first round guys, and you make sure that if you take a guy with a first round pick, he's going to hit. And if he does, you got something going. And if you can hit 3 or 4 years in a row, you're going to the playoffs. And if one of those guys is a franchise level quarterback, then you've got a chance to win a championship. That's the way the NFL works, and that's the way you build NFL teams. But you do have to build from the bottom, too. I think that Ballard's done a great job of building the bottom of the roster, but you don't win championships based on the talent you've got, players 35 through 53. You win championships based on 1 through 10. Give me the name. We'll play a little game. All right, give me the name of a backup safety for the 85 Bears. Give me the name of a backup cornerback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm not saying of the 70s. I'm not saying that these guys weren't important, that these guys didn't somehow contribute to the championship atmosphere and productivity that existed in Pittsburgh and Chicago, or you can do the same thing with the 49ers of the 80s and 90s. Do the same thing. But if you start naming guys from the top of the roster, by God, you can name a lot of guys. You start naming guys from the Steelers championship teams, and you can damn near name all the starters, right? I'll bet off the top of my head I could name 15 guys from the Pittsburgh Steelers who won world championships. The 85 Bears, I don't know how many of those guys there were, but I'll bet you I can name all but 3 or 4 of them, okay, just because I love that team. But starters, you damn right I can name all the starters, and I can name 2 starters who would have been starters, but they sat out that season in a contract dispute, and those are Al Harris and Todd Bell. All right, so depth is kind of important. Dave Duerson coming in and playing that safety position that was vacated by Bell, that was really important. How about a guy like Wilbur Marshall? Really, really important. The defensive ends, really important on that team. You had Hampton and you had Dent. And the year before, as either a linebacker or a defensive lineman, you had Al Harris. So you can name guys on championship teams. With the Colts, who do you name, right? Who are the stars of this team? Who are the guys, other than your left guard and an outside linebacker, who are the guys that you can kind of count on to go to a Pro Bowl? Not a running back, although Marlon Mack's not bad. Not a wide receiver because T.Y. Hilton can't stay healthy anymore. Not the cornerbacks. Right, Xavier Rhodes played in a Pro Bowl 3 years ago, but that doesn't do anything for you in 2020. He's 30. Maybe he's still got some good football left. Last year, that wasn't it. And so last year, Xavier Rhodes became a guy that the Minnesota Vikings didn't mind allowing to leave. And so you've got that kind of you've got such a problem at cornerback that you go out and get a 30-year-old free agent who couldn't play dead last year. And that's not to say that Xavier Rhodes isn't going to be better this year. The offensive line you kind of like with the Colts. The defensive front, you hope DeForest Buckner kind of solidifies everything with the defensive front. Kind of like the linebackers, especially the outside guys. I like Okereke. I like Darius Leonard. The cornerbacks, I don't know whether they've got starting level cornerbacks right now. So you've got gaping holes. You have no weapons on the outside unless Paris Campbell comes back and can maintain his health, and T.Y. Hilton can do that, right? The weapon that you had in 2018 that Andrew Luck made look really indispensable, Eric Ebron, became entirely dispensable in 2019. He's gone as a free agent. The Colts, they don't have many more. So at tight end, you got Jack Doyle and Mo Ali Cox, and that's all. And that's not good. So you need a tight end, you need wide receivers, you need cornerbacks, you need a franchise-level quarterback, and that's what Brian Fisher from Athlon thinks that the Colts are going to do as they trade up to 27. They're going to move up to 27 to go get Jordan Love. Maybe Jordan Love's the guy, maybe Jordan Love's not. But I'm telling you, if you're going to draft a guy that you project to be a franchise-level quarterback, you better be damn sure you're right. And if you're going to trade that kind of draft equity, right, 34, 160, and then a third rounder for next year, if you're going to swap those three guys in order to move up 7 spots to get Jordan Love, you better damn well be right. Otherwise, you're losing 3 guys, right? You're losing 3 guys to go get Jordan Love, and if Jordan Love can't play, all 3 of those other guys are goners. Do you take a safety? Do you take a cornerback? What do you do? They got lots of ways to either make this a terrific draft or lots of ways to screw this up. And we're going to see what Chris Ballard is capable of in this draft, because at some point he's going to be held accountable for that wins and losses record. Last year's 7-9, with or without Andrew Luck, right? Andrew Luck retiring was a big blow to the Indianapolis Colts and to Chris Ballard, because he assumed that he was going to have Andrew Luck under center for at least the next 5 years, right? 5 years from now, not just 5 years from when he retired, but 5 years from now. So what you got? You know what I mean? You better be right. Is Phillip Rivers the guy long-term? Absolutely not. He might not be the guy short-term. Jacoby Brissett, is he the guy long-term or short-term? No, he's not. Chad Kelly? No, please. He's not. Good arm talent, but between the ears, can you trust it? You got to be able to trust your quarterback. And that's the thing about Jordan Love, isn't it? In 2018, he looked like a quarterback he could trust. In 2019, interceptions went way up because all his receivers were different. That's what people will tell you. Or was it Jordan Love all of a sudden not making really good decisions? We're going to find out. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, we're going to see exactly what Chris Ballard's made of and how they execute this draft. Do they move up? I don't think they're going to move up, but I hope like hell they don't move back. Because moving back, you make a sacrifice of talent. And what the Colts have done that I think is also really, really interesting is they don't have any – they got good guys. Right? It used to be you walk, and there have been locker rooms like this for both the Colts and the Pacers, but you walk into the locker room and you're like, okay, I don't want to be around these people. These are difficult people to be around. I don't like talking to them. To hell with them. I've gone through that both with the Pacers and with the Colts, where, all right, I really don't need to talk to this guy again. Right? This group, I love them all. It doesn't matter who you talk to. They're all great guys. You talk to Kamoko Toure, he's terrific. You talk to Bobby Okereke, he's terrific. You talk to Mo Ali Cox, fun guy to talk to. Talk to George Odom. George Odom's a great guy. Marlon Mack's terrific. Nyheim Hines is terrific. Jordan Wilkins. All these guys are great dudes to talk to. I don't know whether you win football games with a locker room of all those guys. And as we're all watching The Last Dance, right, about the Chicago Bulls in 1998, they had some weirdos on that team. They had a petulant, immature guy in Scottie Pippen. They had a killer in Michael Jordan, who had no interest in making friends anywhere for any reason. All he wanted to do was win. You had Dennis Rodman, who either wanted to play winning basketball or go to Vegas and get loaded, one or the other. You had a bunch of tough, rough-hewn guys, and Phil Jackson is the coach, not without flaws himself, right? But these guys, when it came time to lace them up, They put all that petty nonsense behind them, and they went out and played excellent basketball, winning 6 championships, Jordan and Pippen and Jackson, over that decade. They were together during that decade. They were together 8 years. They won 6 titles, and it could easily have been 8 had Michael Jordan not left basketball to go play baseball for a couple of years, whatever the story behind him leaving, whether it was a gambling thing and he was going to be suspended anyway, whatever it was. The Bulls were really, really good despite having some ill-fitting behavioral pieces on that team. You look at a team like the 85 Bears, same deal, right? You look at a team like the Oakland A's of the early 70s, the New York Yankees of the late 70s. A lot of these teams, there were guys who did not get along and who were unpleasant to one another and everybody else who came in contact with them. But you know what they did? They won. And I'm not saying that you've got to not get along in order to win. I'm just saying that talent that doesn't get along beats the living hell out of untalented guys who love each other like brothers. So we'll see what the Colts do. They think they got the secret sauce for evaluating behavior. We'll see. This is the 4th draft for Chris Ballard, and it's about time for this team to start winning. If he's building through culture, we're going to see that culture start to avail itself this year, and we'll see if they can win despite having a 38 and soon-to-be 39-year-old Phillip Rivers under center, a guy who over the last 10 years, his aggregate record 77 and 83. He's gone to the playoffs once in the last 6 years. This past year, his Chargers were 5-11. By the way, the Chargers unveiled new uniforms today. They got 3 different sets of jerseys. They've got 3 different sets of pants, and they're going to mix and match them. That drives me nuts. I like teams like the Colts. The Colts have their blues. The Colts have their whites. They got 2 colors. That's it. That's all they do. I love that. The Chargers, they don't know who they are. They don't know what they should look like. And that's the way they play football. I think it all starts at the top, and I think the uniforms are kind of a manifestation of that. You look at the Bears, same deal. They got their whites. They got their blacks. That's it. That's all. Done. You know? And they have been virtually unchanged, virtually, for a long, long time. Colts, virtually unchanged for a long, long time. That's the way you do uniforms. What does uniform mean? Uni, that's one, right? Uni, like unicycle, one wheel. Uniform, right? One form, one set of clothes. You wear those, and we'll wear these, and we'll knock the hell out of each other, and we'll see who's going to win a football game. That's the way football's played, and that's why uniforms exist. For teams like the Chargers, they're trying to move merchandise rather than form a winning football team. Can you do both? I don't know. Look at the teams who move merchandise. Look at what the Steelers do. Steelers, they got whites. Steelers, they got blacks, right? And how many people do you see in the city of Pittsburgh wearing Steelers uniforms? Everyone wears a Steelers uniform, all right? In Chicago, that's what you see. In Green Bay, what do they got? They don't have purple jerseys. They don't have sky blue jerseys. They don't have 3 jerseys. They got greens. They got whites. That's it. The color rush nonsense, I've had it with that crap. I'm tired of people trying to figure out, spending bandwidth within the organization to figure out how much merchandise they can move rather than how many victories they can stack. I think it's ridiculous. Tomorrow morning, Breakfast with Kent, bright and early, 8 o'clock on Facebook Live, and then on Periscope / Twitter at about 8:15, and then on YouTube after that. We do it. We go all day long. We are in constant. We do 2 things here. We are either building perspective or sharing perspective. That's what we do. And then at 11:30 every day on Facebook Live, and then immediately thereafter on Twitter and Periscope, we share a chapter of Oops, The Art of Learning from Mistakes and Adventures by me. You can get it at Amazon.com. You can get the audiobook, ebook delivered immediately. The hardcover book you can get, but it takes about a week to ship. So there you go. All you got to do is go to Amazon and search Oops and Kent. That's it. Easy. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock, brought to you by the great people at Today's Dentistry.